It is very rare in the automotive industry for a newcomer to enter a mature and oversaturated market and completely take over within 6 to 12 months. And yet, that's exactly what the Kia Telluride did in late 2019 and into 2020. As we already know, since we lived through it, 2020 you had the part shortages, the car shortages, and it was very difficult to get your hands on the Telluride. But here we are 5 years later, and this vehicle is still as popular as it was when it first hit showrooms. Kia did everything right here with this vehicle, and in today's video, I want to check out what the Telluride has to offer, how it compares to a Ford Explorer, how it compares to a Nissan Pathfinder, Honda Pilot, and Toyota Highlander, and see why, if you are someone looking at buying a 3-row SUV, you need a vehicle that is spacious for you and your family, while also looking for a 3-row SUV that's going to be fun and enjoyable, then maybe taking a look at the 2025 Kia Telluride might be a great decision. Now, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Gervais Kia in Lowell, Massachusetts for letting me come down here to check out the Kia Telluride. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Kia inventory. So as always, let's begin with that pricing. For the 2025 Kia Telluride we have today, this is the SX Prestige X-Line, coming in at just under $53,000. There are a number of different trims though for this model that would require probably a week's worth of videos to go over everything, and it can get quite confusing. However, for the Kia Telluride, this model is very important not only to the brand, but also this segment in general. Because yes, it goes head to head with that Honda Pilot, with that Toyota Highlander, with that Ford Explorer. But on the lower end, you can get an affordable 3-row SUV that's going to be spacious, practical, and also perfect for a growing family. And then on the higher end, like we have here today, you have an SUV that's going to feel refined, high quality, and somewhat luxury-like. And that's where the Kia Telluride is beyond flexible in this segment. For 2025, nothing is different here aesthetically or even for the features and packages. Everything carries over from 2024. However, that is not a bad thing at all. In fact, it might be a bit risky for Kia to change anything here for this platform and for this generation. So up front, you are going to receive full LED headlights with amber daytime running lights. We're seeing a lot of this now from the Kia product line. It looks classy. It also looks unique in this segment. Now, we have more of this blacked out design for our model today. So you're going to notice the gloss black trim. You're going to have the LED fog lights. You're going to have a vehicle that I think from far away kind of looks like a cop car here, the way it's spec'd out for our model, but it looks aggressive, it looks fun. What I do want to point out though for the front fascia, because some of you do take this very seriously, is that you're not going to have functional side air curtains. They're just there for aesthetic purposes, which I'd like to see changed in future model years, because you would think that for the Kia Telluride, with it being so aggressive in design, that it would look aerodynamic, it would look sporty, but that just isn't the case. But you are going to have aggressive body lines on the hood, so that at least is one thing I do like here about this model. Then as you make your way over to the side profile, there's a few things I want to take note of here for our model today. That yes, we do have the 20-inch gloss black alloy wheels, giving us a lower profile appearance here for this trim. But by going with the SX Prestige X-Line, you're also going to have 8.4 inches of ground clearance, giving you better versatility and capability, especially with all-wheel drive coming standard. On lower trims, front-wheel drive is standard, and you get 8 inches of ground clearance. So if you're someone looking for an adventure vehicle, the Kia Telluride might be a great fit here in this segment. Now, you are going to have the cladding around the wheel arches, letting you know you can go off-road and take on those elements. Also along the side profile, you will have body color matched side mirror caps with turn signal indicators to go along with blind spot detection for added safety. Then as you make your way around to the back here with the Kia Telluride, you are going to have those LED taillights that swoop into the center portion of the rear fascia, giving you a sleek and I think an aerodynamic appearance here. This isn't just going to be a block on wheels. It actually has the striking body lines and has a design that will be quite engaging and draw your attention from far away. For the lower portion of the rear bumper, you will have those dual exhaust outlets in chrome. Nice little touch there. Also, while we're back here, by going with the SX Prestige X-Line and higher trims for 2025, you will have self-leveling rear suspension. So in the corners, when you are on those winding back roads, this might actually feel quite enjoyable when you are cruising on those longer road trips. Also, you will have a tow mode giving you 5,500 pounds of towing capacity. So a lot of versatility here with this model. You have the ground clearance, the towing capabilities, But then what about that powertrain? What makes the Kia Telluride, in my opinion, so intriguing, and also why I think it's become so popular, is the fact you are going to have a 3.8-liter naturally aspirated V6 engine, producing 291 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque, and it is paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. These numbers are almost identical to the Honda Pilot, which also uses a naturally aspirated V6. Well, some journalists and magazines out there do say that what hurts the Telluride is the lack of a turbo 4 and hybrid systems. I completely disagree with that, because this V6 is the gem for this model and the perfect powertrain for an SUV of this size. It's quick, it's engaging, also with this 8-speed automatic, quick shifting. So it's going to be a vehicle that's not only going to be a family hauler, it's also going to be an SUV that you can really enjoy on a weekday commute or longer road trip. Also, with the SX Prestige X-Line we have today, all-wheel drive does come standard, whereas for lower trims, all-wheel drive is a $2,000 option. So keep all of that in mind if you are looking at buying a Kia Telluride for 2025. Probably more importantly is going to be that fuel economy, and this right here is going to be one of the weak points for the Telluride. You're looking at right around 18 miles per gallon in the city and 23 miles per gallon on the highway, which is not the best in this market. I don't think it's the worst, but keep in mind that with the Telluride, it is going to be somewhat of a gas guzzler. But hey, you have to sacrifice one thing here if you are going to go with a naturally aspirated V6, and I think the miles per gallon is a lot better than the miles per gallon. Hopping inside the Kia Telluride we have today, we are greeted by power adjustable, heated and ventilated Nappa leather seats for both the driver and passenger, with the driver's side having 2-position memory for added convenience. Now, my first thoughts here, being behind the wheel of this model, is how does Kia and Hyundai sell Genesis products in the US? Because it doesn't make sense to me. Why would I spend $70,000 or $80,000 for a Genesis GV80 when I have a Kia Telluride at $50,000? That's what I'm thinking about right now, because these seats are really plush. They're luxurious. I feel like I'm in a luxury crossover. Now, the bolstering isn't going to be too aggressive, but the cushioning, support, and the upholstery is really top class for a vehicle under $60,000. And this is going to set the tone for the Telluride when you do take it out on a longer road trip, or when you are going to have your family and friends tag along with you on a daily basis. This is huge for the brand, and now I understand why the Telluride has become a top seller in this market. It just goes one step beyond what you have from close rivals such as Honda, Toyota, maybe even Mazda as well with the CX-90. Now, for the rest of the interior, there's gonna be one thing a lot of you are going to like. Now, some people are going to say, oh, the Kia Telluride needs to have a significant update. It needs to have this new refresh that we're seeing from the rest of the Kia product line. I'm not quite sold on that idea yet. So sure, you have this panoramic display for the digital gauge cluster and infotainment system. But what my eyes are focused on are the physical buttons and dials for your volume and tuning. Then, of course, physical buttons that will quickly get you different menus for your map, navigation, radio, and media. But then also physical buttons and dials for your dual zone climate control up front, AC, front rear defrosters, fan speed, and fan direction. You have the right balance of technology and a tactile experience. And this right here is a selling point in and of itself. Also, you're going to find the switches for your 3-level heated and ventilated front seats on the center console. It has a fighter jet-like cockpit. It's very welcoming. And I like the fact that to some degree it feels somewhat old school with a sprinkle of technology. Now, in front of you will be your leather-wrapped steering wheel, which is heated, by the way. It feels really nice in the hands. Surprisingly, no paddle shifters, which with this 8-speed automatic, I think it can be quite engaging, but that just isn't the case here for our model today. Now, before we talk about the digital gauge cluster, you are going to have a head-up display for our model, giving you traffic sign recognition, turn-by-turn navigation, and your digital speedometer. You can just focus on that rather than looking down at screens. Now, with this digital gauge cluster, it's not going to be super in-depth. It's not going to remind you of an Audi's virtual cockpit or even what you're going to find from BMW products, but it is customizable and it does give you a good amount of information here. So from the screen, you will have your turn-by-turn navigation, also your torque distribution and tire pressure monitoring system. You have your lane centering here along with other safety systems as well. And then your fuel economy statistics, your remaining fuel range, and then of course your auto start stop timer. So everything is right here, cleanly laid out. And again, it's not going to be super in-depth, nor is it going to be confusing. I think it's the right balance here. Now, also, of course, when you do place the Telluride in different drive modes, you will have different colors here for comfort, sport, smart, eco, and snow. So some of you might actually like that interactive display here. And then as you take a look at the infotainment system, you have this larger screen, which is going to give you wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility to go along with onboard navigation. Now, this is Kia and Hyundai's older infotainment system and older software, and I am not complaining about this at all, because you are going to have all your widgets in place, which are cleanly laid out for your map, navigation, phone projection, voice memo, climate. All this is going to be right here within arm's reach, and I think it's still cleanly laid out today in 2025, although the newer Kia products have a cleaner display, in my opinion, when it comes to resolution and quality. But for someone hopping into an SUV for the first time that is brand new, this technology is not going to throw you off. It's not going to confuse you at all. So I think a lot of you are going to appreciate the interior of the Kia Telluride for 2025. Then when placing the Kia Telluride in reverse, you are going to receive a rear backup camera with trajectory along with a top view and a 360-degree surround view camera as well. The list just goes on and on with the incentives for this model. And then when you place the Telluride in drive, you're going to have a front-facing camera, and also that top view will be activated as well. So a lot of safety systems here to work with. It just gives you that reassurance when you are backing out of a garage or a tight spot on a city street. Continuing on, as we make our way towards the center console, you are going to find your wireless phone charging pad, USB and USB-C input, along with a 12-volt outlet. Then for the center console itself, you will have your gear selector here, a traditional gear shifter, which is great to see. Gloss black trim. Next to your two cup holders will be your drive mode selector and center lock differential. You will have different drive modes for comfort, sport, smart, snow, and eco. Then you will have physical buttons for your auto start stop, auto vehicle hold, and then your parking assist features and camera settings. And you will have an electronic parking brake as well. For the standard storage compartment, there is enough room for some smaller items. It actually is quite deep. You could probably store a couple small water bottles or two from here, and there will be a tray for some loose change. And then rounding out the front seating area, above will be a dual-pane moonroof, which brings in a lot of natural light to the interior. And we also have a digital rear view mirror, giving us better visibility if we have people in the second or third row. Now, as we begin to take a look at the second and third rows, there's really only one metric that really matters here, and that's going to be the legroom. Yes, there's a lot of creature comforts and amenities that we need to talk about, but you're looking at 42.5 inches of legroom. This outclasses, I'm going to say, every single three-row crossover in this market, and it's even better than a Honda CR-V, to put that into perspective. The CR-V comes in at around 41 inches. So you'll be able to fit people of all shapes and sizes here. Also, you have plenty of headroom too. I mean, it just goes on and on. I can sit here all day just talking about the second and third rows. And this right here is why the Telluride has become a top seller. It's the interior space. It feels so nice here. You feel like you're in a luxury SUV. You really do. And I'm willing to go as far to say this kind of reminds me of a BMW or Audi. I'm willing to take the heat for that. Now, for our model today, we have captain's chairs with a Napa leather upholstery, and these seats are heated and ventilated. That is right. Also, we have climate control back here, so everyone is going to be very comfortable in this vehicle. And just like we see with many three-row crossovers with captain's chairs, they slide on rails both forwards and backwards to maximize that legroom. And honestly, even if you're going to have these seats all the way back, the third row is still going to be quite spacious. So very impressive here. This is the main selling point. But continuing on, we are going to have rear sunshades to block out the haters, but also block out that sunlight if you are going on those longer road trips, or maybe when you are on your laptops or smartphones. And then to wrap up the second row seating area, the USB inputs will be found on the sides of those front seats. And finally, for the third row, you're looking at right on 31 inches of legroom, which again is going to be outclassing many in this market. Also keep in mind, you can slide these second row seats up to maximize that legroom once again. You can easily have average-sized adults sit back here. I truly believe that. Also, you can have smaller kids too. So this vehicle is very flexible. And I have to be honest, what I'm experiencing right here and now is selling me on this product. I have filmed many three-row crossovers in this market, but the Kia Telluride has been very impressive today, and especially for our trim. well equipped. I mean, you're talking about $53,000. This is a steal when you're comparing it to a BMW, Audi, or Mercedes-Benz. Yes, I'm willing to go that far. I still think this feels like a luxury SUV in this segment. Now back here you are going to have two USB-C inputs, one on both sides of the third row, and then also two cup holders as well. So when you are going on those longer road trips, passengers in the third row are still going to be very comfortable. Making our way around to the back one more time to take a look at the rear cargo area. No surprises here, you are going to receive a power liftgate. And inside, behind the third row of seats, you're looking at right on 21 cubic feet of room. And for myself, it passed the test. As you guys know, when it comes to three-row crossovers in this market, I want 20 cubic feet or more, and the Telluride has that here. Now, I'm able to fit all my camera gear today with no issues. That's 3 bags of camera gear, a gimbal box, and a tripod. So if you are going on a short errand run or maybe on a day trip, you can easily have all your luggage back here, your groceries, even if you have kids, in the third row. On top of this, you are going to have another storage compartment beneath the floor mat. So if you have a bag or two, you can store them back there as well. And then beneath that will be a spare tire, which is great to see. Then with the third row seats folded, you're looking at right on 46 cubic feet of room, which is pretty much on par with many three-row crossovers in this market. Now, some people try being negative towards the Telluride, try being a bit more critical here, because this vehicle is probably close to perfect in this market as you're going to get, at least when you take a look at the interior quality and the interior space. But the one thing that I'm actually very surprised here for the SX Prestige X-Line is the fact that the third row seats don't power fold. I have to manually fold them, which, now that's not a huge thing, but it's just something that I was very surprised that Kia didn't integrate here. However, you can power fold the second row of seats very easily with the press of a button on the left side of the cargo area, giving you right on 87 cubic feet. So practicality wise, this is where the Kia Telluride does make a lot of sense. That's the main selling point. Everything else we've already gone over so far is just kind of an add-on here. When you're comparing this to a Honda Pilot, Toyota Highlander, even a Ford Explorer, it's the practicality, it's the interior space, it's the fact that it is family friendly that's going to sell you on this vehicle at the end of the day. It is very easy to take for granted just how good of an SUV the Kia Telluride really is. Let's be honest, practicality, cargo space, and the intangibles, they're all really boring metrics if we're going to be real, because most Americans prefer ruggedness, capability, versatility. They want a good powertrain under the hood, and I think some of them might be looking for a great value. And the Kia Telluride hit all those points. But I feel as though it's more deeper than that. There's something to the Kia Telluride that just seemed to strike a chord with many Americans with larger families. And yes, I think it's the interior space. The fact you can accommodate passengers of all sizes and all three rows makes a huge difference in this market. But back in 2020, when this vehicle first hit showrooms, it was the technology, it was the refinement, it was the fact that you were buying a mainstream SUV that kind of felt like a BMW X5 or an Audi Q7. Some of that can be attributed to the fact that executives from BMW and Audi moved to Hyundai and Kia, and the Kia Telluride was a product of that. And 5 years later, here we are, and I still feel as though this is class leading. I still feel like this is a more enjoyable vehicle on a practicality level, but also as a daily driver, than a Honda Pilot, than a Nissan Pathfinder, than a Ford Explorer. Now you can pose the question, alright, you have a naturally aspirated V6 and the Pilot and the Pathfinder also offer it, so how does this differ in any way? I think at least compared to the Pathfinder, it's a bit more agile, it's a bit more fun, it's a bit more engaging. Then compared to the Honda Pilot, I think the Pilot feels a bit more rugged than the Kia Telluride. And I don't think that is going to be something that will push buyers in the Honda direction, because with the Telluride, this feels more like a luxury SUV, even for a top trim. And that is why I think a lot of Americans have been drawn into this vehicle. It's not only the intangibles, it's everything else. It's the fact you're not spending $65,000, $70,000 for a luxury brand, and instead you can get an SUV like this for like $50,000, and you're getting everything under one roof that makes you feel as though you got a great value. Now also with a naturally aspirated V6, it does have some character. It has a soul to it, while many vehicles in this segment have a Turbo 4. So you're not going to have the turbo lag, and you're going to have a nice sounding V6. That is going to appeal to many buyers. But then also, from a comfort perspective, this suspension helps you glide over the roadways very well. Now, when you do go over the bumps and imperfections, you do feel them, but that's to be expected. Even with the larger tires, you don't hear a lot of road noise. The interior insulation is pretty good here, might be one of the best in this market. And outside of that, you also have technology that might not be found out of many rivals. I'm thinking about that Subaru Ascent. I'm thinking about that Toyota Highlander. And when you combine all of that together, you get one of the best SUVs this market has ever seen. In sport mode, throttle response gets far more active, and with the steering input, it's a bit heavier, so there's a bit more engagement here. Now, obviously, with 8.4 inches of ground clearance, you're going to have some body roll. There will be some disconnect between you and the road, but every other crossover in this market will exhibit the same driving experience and dynamics. Extremely responsive. That's impressive. To have, what, 292 horsepower, give or take, naturally aspirated V6, there's a good amount of power on the low and mid-range. I'm impressed here. With the 8-speed automatic transmission, the gear shifts are smooth, and under heavier accelerations, it feels very competent and willing to meet your demands. And at highway speeds, there's not a lot of road noise entering the cabin here, even with the larger tires. And it's this right here where the Kia Telluride, I think, does embarrass most of the competitors in this segment. Now, while we're stuck at this red light, might as well go over the vision that we have here to work with and seat positioning. Nice panoramic view. A-pillars are not really that aggressive, surprisingly, so I don't think you have any blind spots when you are approaching intersections or red lights. Taking a look at your side mirrors, they are massive, so I can see what's my blind spots and the lane next to me. And then for our model, we have the digital rear view mirror, so I can see what's directly behind me very clearly, even if there's people in the second and third rows. Seat positioning wise, to be honest, I feel like I'm a part of the chassis. Again, kind of reminding me of an SUV like a BMW X5 or Audi Q7, where I don't feel like I'm sitting on top of the chassis, which is really nice. I like the fact that for a three-row SUV in this market, it feels athletic, it's agile, it's fun, it's not boring or sedated like many crossovers in this market, and this V6 is a gem. But when you throw all that into the mix, and then you have an interior quality and driving environment that feels luxurious, that doesn't feel pseudo or fake, that's where many Americans can hop on board. And having experienced many three-row crossovers in this market, I think objectively speaking, even though I do like the Honda Pilot in this market, I think it's a great vehicle with the V6 and 10-speed automatic, Kia did even more to the interior quality and the technology. And it's those smaller details, it's those smaller things that I think makes a world of a difference in a very competitive and oversaturated market. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick review. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. And I will see you guys next time.